Welcome everyone to today's event. I'm Samantha Gavel and I'm the New South Wales Privacy Commissioner. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land on which we meet today, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I would like to acknowledge Aboriginal people in the room today. I would now like to introduce the Attorney-General, the Honourable Mark Speakman SC, to formally open today's event. The Attorney-General has had a distinguished legal career before entering Parliament as the Member for Cronulla in 2011. He was appointed as Minister for the Environment, Minister for Heritage and Assistant Minister for Planning in 2015 and appointed as New South Wales Attorney-General in January 2017. As Attorney-General, he is very aware of and engaged in contemporary issues. For example, he announced a review of consent laws in New South Wales yesterday and also introduced criminal offences to protect victims from intimate image abuse last year. The attendance of the Attorney-General to open our Privacy Awareness Week event today reinforces the importance of privacy across the work that we all do here in New South Wales. Please welcome the Attorney-General to open our event.
Thank you, Samantha. Good morning, everyone. Could I also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are gathered today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. Today's forum marks the beginning of Privacy Awareness Week, which this year is themed Privacy in the Digital Age. As the Privacy Commissioner said in the Information and Privacy Commission's video on Privacy Awareness Week, privacy is important to us all and is becoming even more important with new technology, creating faster ways for information about us to be collected, analysed and shared. Examples illustrating that are rife. To take one particularly striking example, many of you will have read in the last fortnight about the apprehension of the alleged Golden State Killer, the serial killer who horrified California in the 1970s and the 1980s with the brutality of his murders and sexual offences, at least 12 murders and over 50 rapes. But the investigation itself was as notable as the result. After decades of unsuccessful searching, investigators ultimately resorted to a genealogy website to solve the case. By uploading a sample of the perpetrator's DNA to the popular website and comparing it with the DNA information uploaded by site users, investigators were able to construct the distant branches of the perpetrator's family and whittle down the list of relatives to the alleged perpetrator, Joseph D'Angelo. Investigators then confirmed their suspicion. Discarded DNA by D'Angelo was a match with the perpetrator's sample. The cold case was cracked. It was undoubtedly a positive development. As one former detective noted, thousands of nightmares and thousands of sleepless nights have been put to an end with the capture of the rapist. But many commentators expressed concerns about the privacy implications of using others' biometric information to catch a serial killer. As one commentator put it, for most, it never occurred to them that their DNA might be used to identify a serial killer or any sort of perpetrator. If people don't know that their DNA was being used in that way, they couldn't have consented to it. And if they didn't consent to it, is that ethically responsible? These are the questions that need to be considered. Well, these are the kinds of questions that are considered by the Information and Privacy Commission, and they are being considered by the rest of the New South Wales Government. For example, in March, the Government announced that the Law Reform Commission would be reviewing laws that affect access to a New South Wales person's digital assets when that person dies or becomes incapacitated. And the terms of reference explicitly direct the Commission to consider laws relating to privacy in that review. And that's for good reason, because the question of access to digital assets like social media accounts, emails, blogs, cryptocurrency, photo and video files, music files and online clouds, have significant privacy implications. When a person dies or becomes incapacitated, and relatives, friends, or legal representatives gain access to that person's digital assets, the accessors become privy to personal information that the deceased or incapacitated person may not have intended would ever be seen by anyone else. But the potential privacy implications are even broader than that, even broader than merely those relating to the deceased or incapacitated person. That's because often that person will have access to the personal information of other people and access to personal information of other people that those other people only intend to share with a limited class of people, a class that may well exclude the accessor. So these implications raise important issues of privacy to be answered by the Law Reform Commission and ultimately to be considered by the government when the Commission releases its report. Privacy Awareness Week provides a valuable opportunity for all of us to consider questions of this nature. Many of us in our professional lives frequently face difficult questions regarding management of private data. And all of us, if asked, would have views about the extent of privacy we expect in relation to our own personal information. So I'm confident that participants at today's event will shed light on these important topics. Thank you to the Information and Privacy Commission for inviting me along today, and I wish you all a very thoughtful Privacy Awareness Week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Attorney, for opening today's event for us. As the Attorney mentioned in his opening remarks, one of my key priorities as Privacy Commissioner is working with agencies to facilitate the sharing of information where it is appropriate and in accordance with legislated protections. By becoming involved early in any project that deals with personal information, I'm looking to embed privacy by design at the earliest stages of initiatives across the sectors of New South Wales privacy legislation, which is, of course, government agencies, ministers, universities, state-owned corporations and councils. With today's theme, privacy in the digital age, I would also like us to look beyond this at the role that data plays as an enabler for improving the development, planning and delivery of New South Wales government services when the right privacy protections are in place. This fits well with my regulatory objectives of encouraging safe and effective information sharing by agencies and building public awareness and understanding, protecting the information and privacy rights of people of New South Wales, and reporting on and fostering agency compliance with information access and privacy obligations. In the lead up to and during this Privacy Awareness Week, we have a number of other important initiatives occurring. We have release of new guidance on the handling of privacy internal reviews, release of new guidance on the implications of the European Union General Data Protection Regulation for New South Wales agencies. This regulation comes in a couple of weeks' time. And the release of new guidance on our voluntary data breach scheme for New South Wales agencies later this week.